Hello?
We can hear you, Jill.
Okay. Okay, Justin, you ready? I can't hear Daryl.
We're not hearing you now, Justin.
Oh, can you hear me now?
I can hear Jill. I can't hear Justin.
I can't hear Justin either. He's not on mute. Justin, do you have yourself muted? I don't have yourself muted on my end.
CCDEH data management team. Zeb's going to do, I'm sure, what will be a fascinating presentation on an issue that has caused a considerable amount of consternation amongst the environmental health community for a number of years. And I want to give you just a 30-second backdrop to how we actually got to where we are with cottage food for some February 2012. And it was sponsored by a couple of folks, the Mark Stambler Baker down in LA, the Sustainable Economies Law Group. And very early on in 2012, we saw that it had considerable support. There were numerous co-authors. There was a bipartisan support going into the first committee. And despite the very, very clear direction from the federal FDA food code that food prepared at home was not eligible for sale, the bill really went through quite rapidly with a lot of support in the California legislature, following on the heels of numerous other counties and states that have done the same. And CCDEH was, as I think you will recall, very, very heavily engaged so with the health officers. And altogether, we took 7 really major amendments to the bill. Not to go in all the details, but we really agonized over direct versus indirect. We agonized over what level of permits, establishing a whole new permitting structure for the indirect sales and a registration for the direct sales, and then struggled as to what food should or shouldn't be on the list. I think it's fair to say that by the end of that year, by the end of the legislative session, when the bill went to the governor, CCDEH had really got pretty much all except one major amendment, and that was the preemption of the local governments. The bill still doesn't really allow local governments to deny a permit completely. It does allow locals to set additional conditions, but we were preempted, and this affected all local government, not just environmental health. But the long and the short of it is, it was a bill that we struggled with through the process, and we're going to hear now from the biggest jurisdiction in California how it's working and what, if anything, needs to be done to make sure it works smoothly from here on out. So wanted to thank Zeb, wanted to thank everyone for being engaged, and sometimes even the things that we really don't like, we can make work, and I think that's the tradition of environmental health. So take it away, Zeb, and thanks everyone once again.
Thanks, Justin. So my name is Zepur Ohannessian, and I'm with I'm an environmental health specialist in LA County Department of Public Health in Environmental Health Division in the Program Development Unit. And today I'm going to talk to you about cottage food and LA County's portal and its highlights in terms of cottage food. So I will, in the next hour or so, I'll cover a little bit about the history, as Justin said a lot, covered a lot more. I'll cover the challenges that we had and the goals we wanted to achieve in terms of cottage food. And I'll also go over the transition, and I'll demonstrate how our portal and the application process where the public can go and apply online and also some recent updates and benefits of having EC and portal. Okay, so I know Justin covered it, but I didn't. I already had it in my slide. So a little bit of history. It all started in LA, as it always does, or usually does, right? Mark Stambler was baking bread in his backyard in an oven, and he was distributing to the local restaurants in Silver Lake area, a neighborhood in LA, Los Angeles. So LA Times published an article about how about his entrepreneurial skills and how fresh the bread was, and etc. One of our inspectors read the article, and the rest, as they say, is history. Assemblyman Mike Gatto reached out to him, and you can guess what happened after that. Governor Brown signed it into law on September 2012, and it was effective January 1, 2013. And we got our first application. We received it on January 1st at 8:21 in the morning. You can guess who that was, right? That was Mark, and he wanted his permit to have the number 0001, but that couldn't happen, so we couldn't accommodate that one. Okay, so AB 1616 basically allows people to prepare certain non-potentially hazardous foods in their home, in their the home where they reside, and certain non-potentially hazardous foods are listed on CCDEH's website, and we and it's not any, so we try to go by that list. The list is approved by CCDEH. Sometimes there are variations on that, and in reviewing applications, we consider variations of that list, but we try not to go too far with that. Okay, the bill also, there were some requirements or regulations, basically certain non-potentially hazardous foods, and there was a cap on how much sales annually can a cottage food operator make, and the figures are on the screen. For 2014, they should not make more than $45,000 on operating as cottage food. So there was a cap that was put in the bill. Okay, there are two types of cottage food operations, Class A and Class B. Class A allows direct sale between the cottage food operator and the consumer. And as of January 2014, that became anywhere in the state. So what Class A applicants need to do is register and fill out the self-certification checklist, and they will obtain a registration number once approved. There is no required field inspection. So based on what they fill out in the forms, if everything is correct and accurate, we don't go out to the field and verify. For Class B, however, it's a little different. They would have to fill out a permit application, and a field inspection is required prior to issuing the permit, public health permit. I also want to mention here that if there is a complaint that we received for Class A, we do go out to investigate that complaint. But just for the approval process, there's no field inspection required. Class B, I mentioned Class A is direct sales between the operator and the consumer. Class B it allows for direct and or indirect sales. So the operator can sell directly to the consumer, such as a temporary, at a fair or carnival, he or she can set a table and sell directly to the consumers, or he or she can go to sell it to a retailer, and that would be indirect sale. So that's indirect sale. Okay, one of the requirements that we have to abide by, or the operator has to abide by, is the labeling requirement. And this is where we spend a lot of time in our reviewing process. So they have to have certain requirements, certain items included in the label, and as they're mentioned here, obviously the common name of the product, city and zip code if they are not listed in the phone directory. I'm sorry, if they are listed in the phone directory. If they are not listed in the phone directory, they will need to put their entire address. The words made in home kitchen or repackaged in home kitchen. The second phrase was, again, effective as of January of this year, 2014, in AB 1252, where we had some additions to cottage food regulations. So those two phrases, either of these phrases, need to be on the label, on the primary portion of the label, in 12 size font. Their registration or permit number, if it's a Class A, then they would have a registration number. If it's a Class B, they would have a permit number. That needs to be included on the label. The weight of the product, list of the ingredients in descending order by weight, and the county that's issuing the permit or registration, and also any known allergens if the product has any allergens. So those need to be listed. We have all this information on our website. Unfortunately, a lot of people either don't read it or don't understand. We spend, like I said, a lot of time going back and forth between the applicant and our staff, trying to get all this complied before we approve the operation. Okay, a little bit of history, or I'm continuing with the history, a little bit of historical data, just to give you an idea. By the end of February 28th, 2013, when the year the law was effective, we got over 142 applications for Class A and 68 applications for Class B. This was within the first 2 months. So and this figure only includes applications that were submitted online. From day one, we had an online availability for applicants to apply online, and we did get about 25 to 30 hard applications submitted, people who didn't have access to internet or computer. Now this number may not sound much, but for a big a big county such as LA, but it was a lot and we had one person, me, reviewing all this application. So it was overwhelming. By June, I was feeling like this guy, and my desk was starting to look like that.
Still looks like that.
It still does. Thank you, Stu. You come by and visit me every now and then. Okay, so by end of June, we had over 353 Class A applications and over 160 Class B applications. We did anticipate a huge number, and that's why from the beginning we had an online application system to help us with the reviewing and speed up the process. But that's where the challenges were. That was our old method, and the application was designed, or we designed it in a survey type. It's called Vovici. I don't know if anyone is familiar. It's a survey type application, and information was transferred into an Excel spreadsheet once we received it. So while we had that, availability of applying online and us getting applications, right away, it was not. The Vovici is designed to be more like a questionnaire, which served the purpose for the most part, but it did not have. We did not get the actual application. So our staff, I had access to the account. Few people had access to the account, but the staff could not see the application or could not print the application. So for Class B, when they needed to do a field inspection, they would have to copy and paste the fields from the Excel sheet, put it on a Word document, and go out like that without having the actual question. So that was an issue, but we had, we didn't have any other method for the time being, so we kind of worked through, with that. Also, we had no way of people, we were getting applications and then online, and then we would wait a couple of days or sometimes a couple of weeks for them to send us the label. So we couldn't really move on with the reviewing process without getting the label. And now we had an Excel spreadsheet, and then we had, if we got scanned labels, that was good. Or if we got hard, copies, we would have to scan it and file it separately. So we had information for one operator all in separate folders. And then when it came to querying information, how many Class A applicants we've had, how many Class B we've approved in this month, that was difficult to query. And I'm not an Excel whiz, and I know there might have been ways around it, but it wasn't a practical way. But we were limited in time. We had to come up with something, and we didn't want to do paper application, so this was the best that we could do at the time. This is pre-EC, pre-portal. And I do want to say here, although I don't have it on my screen, let's see. Because of the number of applications that we received in the mail were very small, they were about less than 5%. The applications received were hard copy. We don't have a good solid data as to how long it would take to enter the application manually. We did get them. Like I said, they are less than 5%, and we did have our staff entering it. I did it in the beginning, entering them manually in our system to have it with the rest of the data. Currently, about 1 to 1.5 hours are spent from the time application is received, migrated, labels reviewed. Applicant is called conversation back and forth about revising the label, what's missing. So another half hour to 1 hour to write the letter of approval, file it, mail it, or email it, gather all the documents. So total, we spend about 1 to 2.5 hours per application. And I say 1 to 2.5 hours because people, this is dependent on how familiar they are with our, with what's required. Sometimes we have to explain everything all over again, or all over for the first time. They haven't read anything that's on our website. And then sometimes they know what they're doing, so they pretty much know what's expected and they do it right away. If we were to add, now I say 1 to 2.5 hour range for online application now, from submitting, from receiving to approving. If we were to add inputting that application, if we receive a hard copy, let's say, and we have to enter that, I would add another half hour to that, to that. So we don't have good solid data, but we're estimating, and that's what we would go with for now. So what we wanted to do, the goals that we wanted to reach is to streamline the application submission, review, and approval process. To simplify the renewal process, because again, as of January 1 of this year, we needed to have a renewal for Class A applicants, and to have easy access to data. So if we need to, at any time, we can query the number of applications submitted, or what city has the most cottage food operations, or what food are the most sold, whatever information we need to query. Okay, so we transitioned to EC Portal in December 19, actually, to be exact, 2013. So up until December 19, we had an old method of collecting information via a survey-type questionnaire of OBG, and then starting December 19th, we transitioned to EC Portal. Made our lives a lot easier. It required a little bit of training and getting used to it, but and now, since then, interested individuals can apply through our website. Okay, our new application is modeled after the previous one that we used. We used the same format or same layout. We didn't change much. We had originally used kind of mimicked CCDEH's draft application when we first developed it. So we kept the same, pretty much the same, order of questions, the same questions. We had included, way in the beginning when we developed our application, we had included some fields that we thought would help our job, make our job easier, such as what are your hours of operation, and what areas are part of the cottage food operation. So, so we wouldn't necessarily. So if somebody's operating only on Mondays, 1 day a week, because this is just a side job, we wouldn't, for a Class B, if we need to do a field visit, or if we get a complaint for A or B, we would know when to go. We wouldn't want to go on a Wednesday. And then areas where within the house where they're going to be, where it's going to be used for cottage food operation. So if they say dining room and kitchen, that's primarily where we would look and inspect if need be. For Class B, we would have to. For Class A, only on complaint basis. So we had added those fields. So we kept that pretty much the same. And then what we also noticed when we had combined Class A registration with the self-certification, we got at least 2 of the required documents at the same time. So we kept that, again, all in one document, so as if it's just one document. Because Class A is required to submit a self-certification checklist, which they agree to leave the dog out and not smoke, not do laundry while they're cooking or baking, all those requirements that are in the law. Okay, so we combined those, and by August of 2013, when we started developing the portal, we had about 8 months of history in this. So, because we started working on this portal in August, I think I remember, and we had about 8 months of history and experience in this new cottage food field. So we kept pretty much what worked for us, and we eliminated and removed what didn't. So in doing that, we brought over more than what we should have brought. So on our application, we had a field, we still do, for each food type that is, for each food that is listed on the state website, because our intention was we want to know. We don't want to say baked goods, and that includes. We didn't want to combine the fields. So we had one field for each food, and there's about, I don't know, 20 or 30 foods. I haven't counted. And we ended up using a lot of the, or all of the UDFs. So right now, we are gonna, we're gonna combine with like foods and have them do the checkbox. And I'll show you what I'm talking about later when we go to this web page. What we're going to probably do is either combine it or eliminate the checkbox completely and have them write what they're going to be cooking so that we have some UDF left for other programs. We didn't foresee that. Okay. So a registration, application registration process, again, we combined the registration with the self-certification checklist. We have required fields, and right now they have the ability to attach the labels with the application. That's a big, that makes our lives a lot easier. So that was one of the actually, I think, the highlight for our staff. Everything comes in at the same time. On our application, we added links to CCDEH, so while they're filling out the application, if they have any questions or they're not clear about some of the questions that we have, they can quickly go to the link. It's right there, and then read the information and answer it properly. So we, those were some of the features that we thought would help, you know, iron out issues, possible potential issues. When they submit application, the applicant will get a reply response, and in that reply response or message, it says what they need to do from that point on, which is A, they need to pay, they need to submit labels if they haven't done so, and also I think it also mentions about the food processor course that they need to take within 3 months. And then on the other end, our staff gets email reminders that somebody has, an application has been submitted. In that email message, it says the class, what class it is, and the name of the operation, the DBA. Okay, so this is, instead of showing the next few slides, what I'm going to do is go to our website and kind of walk through the application process. So I'm going to go ahead and here, let's see. Okay, so an applicant, interested applicant, would go to our website, click our, actually let me just go back to right here. So an applicant would go, this is part of the website, this is where the information on Cottage Food is, and then they would, if they're interested in applying in Class A, they would hit the first bar, brown bar, or Class B, the second one. In between, there are all the information and links to the state CCDEH or documents, guidelines, and stuff that we have for as it relates to Cottage Food. I should have had a better shot, but so from here, let's say they're going to apply to Class A, so they click on that brown bar, and then it will take them to here. So this is kind of like a cooking show where the parsley is chopped and the garlic is chopped, and all they do is throw it and mix it and put it in the oven. So I have all the information in the application field ready.
Sounds like professional presentation.
So I had it ready because I didn't want to spend time filling it in. So I'm going to demonstrate how my cottage food operation application is submitted. So I named it as Zepur's Chocolate Galore. And so actually let me kind of quickly go over the application. So the first one is if this is new or renewal, because as of this year we would start getting renewals, and we have. Business name, owner name, the basic information, if they have a separate mailing address. We have some questions about the water source and waste disposal. And here are all the fields that we wanted to include. This is all the food that is listed on the state CCDEH website, and we wanted them to check whatever food that they're planning on making, and this used up all of our UDF. So this is going to be changed in the near future, where we're going to have the list here, but it's not going to be a check. Because we already have a field here, because if they say baked goods, we want to know what baked goods it is. So we still, at this point, we still require them to explain us what it is that they're baking. So why have a check mark? So that's just, redundant kind of. So we're not going to have the check mark soon. So they're just going to have to explain what it is that they want to sell or make in this field here. And I've already put mine here. Baking goods, which is chocolate cake, chocolate cookies, bread. And this is some prohibited items agreements. These are the two fields that we added to our application to make our process, inspection process easier, or accessing their residents easier, hopefully. This is the link if they have any questions about the food processor course while they're filling out the application. They can go to this website, get the information, come back, and continue with the application process. It's a very practical approach, I think. It talks about the annual gross sales, and they agree that they've read it. All these fields are actually required. They can't submit it if they don't have it, if they don't put in their initials. And this is the self-certification checklist, and it says it here, and one check, I certify that, and I agree that with the entire checklist above. So that was another kind of an application or form that they needed to fill out, so we combined it. And then here is where they can upload, and I've already uploaded a document just for test purposes. They can upload their labels, or food processor, of course, if they already have it. Okay, so and then at the bottom they agree, they sign, date, and then submit. So when I submit this, what am I getting? I was supposed to get an email message. So should I go back?
Yeah, we'll give that a shot.
Let's see. Maybe because I submitted a while ago. I mean, I filled it out a while ago.
Could be.
Okay. Well, this shouldn't happen. But the applicant should get an email response saying, okay, thank you for applying for Cottage Food Operation. You should, you need to pay something in a nicer terms. Don't forget to make your payment and submit your labels if you haven't done it, and so that kind of information, and they can print that if they want, and it has our information on a contact info. Okay, so from here, what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the presentation. And this was a picture of the application. And this is the message that they would get if had it not been, I don't know why I got that oops message. So it's says how much they need to pay for Class A and where to send their payments. Or they can also walk in and pay, so it has our address. Okay, same with Class B. The information is a little different for that, but they get this reply, similar reply for Class B. On the back end, our staff who are currently reviewing these applications will get email notifications saying that there was an application submitted with what class it is and the DBA. So kind of notifies them to go ahead and review and migrate. Okay, so from here we're going to talk about the portal. We get quite a few applications from Long Beach, Pasadena, and Vernon, the 3 cities that we don't have jurisdiction over when it comes to food inspections. They have their own health department and many other inspections, most other inspections actually, not just food. So a lot of people will apply with us, and they live in those 3 cities. So we have to filter out. We have to tell them, no, this is not. We don't handle your city. So the portal will allow us to kind of quickly view. Okay, Pasadena, we've got an application from Pasadena. Don't migrate that. So it's good to right away kind of filter those out. And then also at that, when we are reviewing the application and haven't migrated, or even after migrating, we are able to make changes if need be. A lot of times they'll call and say, oh, I put, I now have a website I didn't have before. Can you add that on there? And that's not a problem. We'll go ahead and add that, so it allows us to make those changes. Of course, once the application is approved and changes that they want us to do is like adding food additions or changing the list of food, they would have to submit an additional payment for us to review those food. So we wouldn't be able to make changes food related. So when we go there, to the portal, you will see there is a process date. The application is migrated to EC, and that kind of acts as a bookmark tracking method. We do have 3 people in 2 different programs helping with reviewing Class A and B. So between the 3 people, it kind of keeps it easy instead of them going, okay, which one was the last one that you migrated? They know right away which one has not been migrated, and they continue from there. It kind of acts like a bookmark. Okay. Applications are migrated in EC as a service request for both Class A and B. And Class A stays as a service request, and new applications must be submitted every year. That's how it is for the time being. And if need be, we can always modify that. But we do ask them to apply every year. And Class B, from the service request, a program is created. We give it a facility number and a program number, and an inspection is conducted. And actually, our inspectors now use their tablets to do the inspection, and they do. There is a dynamic report that they document their observations on or any violations. And we collect permit fees for Class B. Now, once a Class B operation is approved and they've got their permit, the following year, unless they call us and say, okay, I no longer have this operation, then they'll get the renewal bill the next year automatically. Okay, am I still on time or am I running low? Okay. It's 9:45. Okay, so let's see. So from here, we're going to go to the portal, and let's see. This one. So, well, we're not going to be able to view the application that I tried to submit, but I have one as a backup. Again, just like a chef, they have a baked pie that you take it right out of the oven. So I'm going to...
So Zep, you're saying when somebody submits an application, it goes into this holding area, and then you review it, do some review out there before you migrate it into our EC system?
Yes, yes, they do. If there are let's say if it's, again, if it's in Pasadena, there is no need to migrate, or if it's in Long Beach. So they should review it, and they have to put in a date that they reviewed. So, so this is our portal, and this is for Class A. And right here you can see the city. So right away, if there's one that is in Long Beach or Pasadena, we will just kind of either, we don't necessarily delete them, but we'll ignore that. But this looks like, so I'm going to go ahead and these, let's see, can I close this out or no? Because I can't, or can I minimize this?
Yeah, try this upper button right there.
Should I close it?
I don't think you want to close it, but what's the one next to it?
I don't want to push anything. I just wanted to show the side. Yeah, I don't know why I'm getting my picture now. Oh well.
Guys, is our panel there on the right, is it blocking part of your screen so you can't see it, the whole portal?
Hello?
That's all right. Maybe it's just the way it is. Let's try this real quick.
I'm sorry, what? Zip?
Can you guys, the panel that we Sue just moved it to the other side now, was that blocking your view?
We can see your screen exactly the way you see it.
Okay.
Okay. So okay.
So now I've at least gotten it out of the way.
Perfect. Thank you, Sue. So right here on the right-hand side is the process date. So for what I mentioned earlier, that this acts like a bookmark. So by looking at this, we can tell that these 3 applications were not processed and they weren't migrated to EC. So if I'm one of the 3 staff that I'm coming back after vacation, or the other staff are gonna, this is where I would start. And so this is a quick way of kind of continuing from where we left off, and then where it was left off. And then also I mentioned the city here shows that they can quickly filter out the ones that are not that don't belong to us. So I'm going to go ahead and open up one application and show the migration or migrating. So that our staff would open up the application, look at it, and make sure it sounds good. If they had chicken dishes here, that's not something we would approve, so we probably would not migrate it and send an email message to them that we cannot approve your food. So that's one of the purposes of reviewing. They would review it and then date, and then it's not allowing me to date. I'm just going to go ahead and hit migrate. And when I migrate it, it gives me an SR number. And now this will be in EC, although it was previously done. But just to show you guys, this would be now in our EnvisionConnect as part of our service request in the service request dispatch center. So, okay. And from there, our inspectors will, if need be, for a field inspection, they would go into the service request dispatch center, pull out that service request, and launch an inspection via that service request, and do a workflow when they're out in the field and inspecting that person's home before issuing a permit for Class B. So that's all that I'm going to talk about here. So I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint.
So it looks like, Zep, in this portal, you can make changes if you need to.
Yes.
So if you have to actually talk to people and things like that, to say, oh, did you mean to put chicken down here? They say, oh, I meant, I don't know, something else.
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
A lot of times they'll have, let's say, like a tomato, something potentially hazardous, and then other stuff as well that are not potentially hazardous, but they're on our approved list. So we say, okay, you can make the cookies, but this food item we cannot approve it. So they'll say, okay, I'll remove that. I'll just make the remainder, whatever is approved. So we could, before we would have to make a notation. This way, we can just delete that from the application with their agreement, of course, with their approval.
So that way, only the ones that we're going to approve actually make it in the EC.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So it's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot smoother. Okay, so these were some of the screenshots for our application. So basically, this is the flow. Once the application is submitted, applicant receives an email, him or her instructing him or her to send labels and pay. Applications are reviewed and saved and migrated by our staff. Once the application is migrated, a service request is created. Staff send an email. Again, I found out that this is like redundant, but they're doing it because they feel like there is a need to remind them, okay, you need to pay and submit your labels. If the labels are not attached to the application, I forgot to show that in the incoming application where to see the attached labels. But I don't think we have enough time to go back. So payment is received, labels are received and reviewed, hopefully if they're not submitted with the application, communication back and forth, and then approval, registration number, and permit issued. Okay, still on our to-do list, we learn things by trial and error. One of the things we need to do is our service request, and we don't have enough time to show the EC portion of it, but our service requests are automatically are active when they come in as the application. So they're active until the review process is complete. Once the review process is complete and the applicant is approved to operate, we close those service requests, which kind of, people think closed service requests are inactive or, they're not in operation, but we close them. That way we can, okay, separate the file. Okay, these are the active ones. These are the ones that we need to work on and review. So a lot of people have hard time. They think our staff, they think closed service requests there should be another choice between active and closed. We should have another one. And also, let's see. Usually because they think that if it's closed, it's out of business and they're not in operation, which is not the case in this here. Okay, other, let's see, new developments as of July 2014. We took over the billing from LA County Treasurer Tax Collector. We, meaning Environmental Health, took over the billing from Treasurer Tax Collector, TTC, and we are responsible now for billing, collecting, and issuing permits, public health permits and licenses. So that was effective as of July 2014. What does this mean? It'll allow us to collect payment of existing facilities via EC, EnvisionConnect. Therefore, we'll be able to instantly check an operator's public health permit. If they pay, we can right away check if it's been paid. In terms of CFO, it allows our staff to issue the renewal letter and update our inventory right away. And if they haven't paid, we can, follow up on them and possibly delete them from the list or, remove them from the list. Okay. So additional benefits of EC: ability to quickly retrieve applications submitted. Okay, another thing we have that we haven't been doing and diligent about this is once an application is submitted and 30 days has passed by, we don't want, if they haven't paid or followed up, we don't want to, they need to reapply. That is stated on our website, on our application. So we can quickly delete those or remove those from our list. So that is a good thing, but we haven't been, again, diligent on this. We need to be more diligent in eliminating, because that way we'll have smaller to work with. Improves customer service. Of course, any questions somebody has, we can quickly give them an answer. If they're inquiring, oh, I bought this chocolate cake, CFO, are they approved or not? We can quickly give that information without spending too much time. That's it for my presentation. I have my information, contact info. If you have any questions later on, feel free to call me or email me. But, I think that's it. I don't know if there are any questions or.
Thank you, Zep.
You're welcome.
And thank you for the wonderful presentation. We have about, what time can I show? We have about a minute for questions. So to be sensitive to everyone's schedule, we'll do our best to answer as many questions as possible with the allocated time frame. As of now, if you have a question, please click your raise hand on the panel at the right side of your screen. So if your question was answered, please click lower hand on your panel. And we do have one question for Rich. Well, let me go ahead and, unmute him. I think he left already, but I do have a question that came in while the presentation was going on. He asked, how do you collect information as to the ingredients of a proposed food? In your example, what if the application is going to use garnish or buttercream frosting with eggs or some other fillings with heavy cream or cream cheese? All of these are not allowed per CCDEH.
I didn't understand the question in its entirety. We don't allow cream cheese or heavy cream. So if the cake has frosting, it needs to be with, I think they mix butter with powdered sugar. That's the kind of frosting that is allowed, as long as it's non-PHF. So I don't know if I answered that.
Well, it sounds like after they submit it, I mean, you review it, and so right away, before we even import it into EnvisionConnect, we are contacting that person, telling them why we can't approve that application, right?
Right, right. There is a lot of conversation going back and forth.
Okay.
Did we answer that question?
He's in the offline array, but thanks, Zep. We're going to go ahead and go to the next slide.
No, where's the next slide? Thank you.
Anyway, so thank you everyone for all the questions you have. So to talk about continuing education units, to receive continuing education units, you must fill out the surveys found at the CCDEH.com website. The link can be found on the Data Summit page. In addition, you must pay a processing fee of $25, which can be paid online or by mailing a check and filling out a form, also found on the Data Summit page. For questions regarding continuing education units, please contact Cheryl Baldwin. Next slide. Your feedback is valuable. Whether or not you're seeking continuing education units, please fill out the evaluation survey found on the CCDEH website. Next one. Again, thank you guys for joining us this week for the presentation. Join us next week for a presentation from Yolo County Flood Control and Water Conservation District on implementing real-time remote monitoring for integrated water resources management, given by Tim O'Halloran. Again, thank you everyone for joining us today, and we'll see you again next week.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jill.